Here.
Travis.
Here.
Nate.
Here.
Sarah.
Here, what?
Stephanie.
Here, I think he was gonna call us.
Okay.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consent agenda. Motion for consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Can you hear us, Connie?
No.
Yeah, she's in black and white. Dude, you only had it for a couple weeks, you broke it already?
No. I texted her to ask her if she could hear us. She said no.
So it's a Zoom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell her to be patient.
Should I shut it down, start it back up? Should be, yeah. She says we can call her if we have any questions.
You're on screen share, is that? Always is.
It usually is on that and then on the laptop. Video.
Yep.
Yeah, you need to end meeting for all.
How are we gonna end it? Shall we sign it?
Should we not send this check to our
Doesn't look good. Looks like you're doing it, and we should be the one posting it.
We should come here and do all the chair during the pledge allegiance.
Try to do it now.
I'm logged into yours, and that's all the way to do it.
Reboot.
This one already started like 6 times before the meeting.
Start. What's it say?
Update and restart.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, boy. All right.
Only one on was.
All right, anyway. Time and place for public, time and place for discussion, items not already on the agenda with time limit of 3 minutes each. Anybody? Discussion and possible action regarding city attorney's proposed rates.
Make a motion to approve the proposal.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Sarah?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Nate?
Aye.
Travis?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Discussion and possible action regarding setting a date to hold a joint meeting with the Lisbon School Board.
So I reached out to Pat Hocking to request the council last meeting. He thought that you always did it on the first Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of the month. So 5th, 6th, 7th, he was available and looking for direction on what day you'd like to do it, and he'll make it happen.
Days you don't want to do it?
This is of April.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think we did, I always think we did all the Mondays.
What's that?
I think we always do that, because you guys would try
We
to
always
come
do
in,
it on Monday, yeah.
because you guys would try to come in here for 5 meetings and we were always in here.
Yep.
So you guys want to do April 5th?
I don't know if I'm gonna be here that week, so it doesn't matter to me what you do.
April 5th,
Yeah, that's
That
fine.
works.
7 o'clock?
Yep.
And I think it's here, Brandon.
I believe you're correct. Is that what we found, Christina?
Yeah. This just keeps doing it over and over.
7 o'clock, April 5th.
Send us a text, Brandon.
We'll do.
Do I need a motion for that?
Motion to approve going back to the school and asking them if they want to set the meeting for April.
I don't
You
know.
don't need a motion for that.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion and possible action regarding Park and Rec purchasing a utility tractor and attachments. Hello?
All right, so I'll let Drayton talk about this here in a second, but basically he's got 3 options. And I wanted you to know right now, he has $17,921 currently in his capital improvement fund. And that is outside of the capital improvement fund for the sports complex. Currently, there is not any more money that's budgeted to go in to the smaller fund. But there is $50,000 going into the capital improvement for the sports complex in July. So you can use some of that money if you'd like, or I can find other places to get it.
Well, where are you gonna find it? That's what I would like to know.
How much is it?
Well, there's 3 different
Well, there's 3
quotes.
different
They
quotes.
range from
Drake, do you want to talk
22,000
about what
to
you
32,000.
think is best?
No, 26,000.
So there's 3 different quotes on there that I came up with. One is the bare minimum to, like, it has a drag and it has a blade for and the tractor, obviously, the utility tractor. So that's the bare minimum, that was like 25,000 some odd dollars. And then there was one for 29, that was everything except for the 72-inch mower. And that was gonna be used for the soccer field portion, but without that being built right now, we're not ready, we wouldn't need that right away. And then there was the 31,000, which was everything that we would need, for sidewalks, baseball diamonds, the utility tractor, obviously, and then things out at the sports complex when that's ready. So I just wanted to,
The 31,000 one doesn't include the mower either?
no, it should,
Rear discharge grooming mower.
yep.
Okay.
It should
31
include,
says everything needed.
yep,
$31,849.67.
that was everything needed that we, that I discussed
That's
with
the
Travis. and
tractor, a rear discharge grooming mower, 2-stage snow blower, quick pitch front blade, and field master infield drag.
Correct. So I just wanted to give you guys options to choose from. If you guys have any questions for me on any of it.
Did you ask them if you could pay for part of it now and part of it in
I did not.
July?
I did not ask them that. But it really wouldn't matter because I must have misunderstood county. I thought that I had another 10,000 coming into my capital
Yeah, that's
fund.
what I thought too.
But there's no 10,000 coming in there. So it's just gonna be the 17,000 that's in there and then we would have to figure out where we're gonna get the rest of the money from.
I wonder why there's not $10,000 going in there. Is
Connie,
it
can you hear
because-
us yet?
I think the reason
I can hear you.
is
We've
it
never transferred over 10,000 to Park and Rec. The money that was in that fund has been there for quite a while. We set up a transfer to put 50,000 over into that category, just to start on saving money for this, the new sports complex.
So that 50,000 that has nothing to do with anything that we're doing at the sports complex. That's just, capital improvements fund for the sports complex, right?
No, it's money set aside to use to develop the sports complex.
When the time comes and it's appropriate to have it there.
Now, keep in mind, the capital improvement for the Park and Rec is all one account. She split it up so that way you know what's in there for the park and rec, and you, or for the sports complex, and you know that this account is separate.
Right.
So, now with the stuff that he's getting here, you could argue that that stuff's gonna, some of that stuff will be needed over there. So, it's just up to you guys.
My other question is there any other department that this would pull from?
If it's gonna be used to mow and, stuff other than the parks, then if it's gonna be used for ditches or that, it could be taken out of road use also. But I think it was gonna be used mostly for parks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, you could pull from other areas if it's gonna be used for those areas.
If they use the snow blower on the apron of the fire station and around City Hall, could that be taken out of police, fire, and EMA for that attachment?
Yes,
And that's the snow blower part?
So yeah, so that would be one option. I know we don't like to do this, but you also have, there's lost money there too for the local option sales tax, but that's, you
Well, I'm
know,
just-
you don't wanna do that, because that's a kind of your savings account for emergencies, so.
Did you go over this with them, Travis? All the stuff that he's getting?
Yeah, we work together on
I just, you know, if we're gonna buy it, I mean, you know, your basics at 25,000. I mean, to get everything else, you're gonna pay another $6,000. I mean, for $6,000, like I've said numerous times, stuff does not get cheaper. And if you're gonna use it, it's better to just get it all at one time. That's how I feel.
One thing I will mention, and I talked to Travis and Drayton, even though that rear mower is bigger, it's still probably gonna take them longer to use that to mow that complex than it's gonna be to use the Hustler mower. However, that may increase or shorten the time frame of when you're gonna need to replace that mower because of the use it's gonna take. But, I would think that mower would probably be the first thing that you would get rid of. The snow blower, I think we can use that in many different areas, you know, fire hydrants. Travis then doesn't have to worry about when he plows burying a sidewalk, because Drayton's out there with the snow blower. Now he can use the blower on this tractor to do it. The blade on the front can be used probably the majority of the time to clean the sidewalks around here. And then obviously the drag is for the field work, so.
This tractor comes with a cab included, a heated cab, and it also comes with the bucket on the front. So those things are both included in that 21,000.
In the, look at this.
The bare minimum option.
Yeah, I understand that.
Oh,
Snow blower, is that a front blower or back blower?
Should be a front.
I personally think you buy it all.
I agree.
I mean, if the, you know, if the Hustler goes down, we're screwed. And it's part, you know.
I'm gonna agree as well. I think if you're gonna do it, get everything you need now, because those equipment may go up in price when we do need it. So,
Why do we prefer the rear mower versus the one that can go in the middle?
So the rear is a 72,
The middle one's smaller?
60.
Okay.
So, and,
it doesn't come with that either, so you'd have to add, was it 1,900?
yeah, say 2,000.
The belly mower was 2,000, 1,900, 2,000, so $700 you get an extra foot.
So, and that was purpose. Now, the dilemma is, even with the belly too, you wouldn't be able to mow a majority of our parks with this anyways, because there's too tight of areas. So that back mower is for
the complex.
the complex and around the pond and everything, so.
That's why if you use that money, you could, first or second phase, still being used out there where you could use some of that if you so choose.
'Cause the limbs and stuff around the pond is pretty tough on the hustler to where he's using this to go around that and
Well, can the cap come off?
the doors come off and the windshield comes out, so.
Okay. Otherwise, the rest of it's rollover protection,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
And the measurements they gave us would fit underneath the trees for doing alongside downtown.
Okay. It looks pretty tall. Okay.
Christina, can you take a look at Fund 113 on the treasurer's report and see what we have left after purchasing the truck for Travis?
$778.50.
Oh, okay.
He spent it.
You spent it all, thanks, Travis.
Sorry, Brittany, you're not getting that tractor, Travis.
He knew exactly how much money he has.
It's just my personal opinion, if you can find the rest of the money somewhere other than the general fund, it may be better because we are really, really tight in the general fund right now. I had to really manipulate some things to get us to balance out in the general fund. So if we could take it out of roads or lost or something else, I know we hate to use lost, but right now the general fund is really, really tight.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna be using it, you know, for plowing downtown and snow blowing the walkways and stuff, I mean, that'd come out of streets, wouldn't it?
Yes,
So, I mean, that might just be, you know, the blower part of it. So,
One thing about the lost too is, you know, in theory, where they're using it, that's a community type use, you know, for activity, so. You know, that's in the past been talked about, using that money for that purpose as well, so.
So, do I have a motion?
I motion to purchase the, purchase, yep, the whole kit and caboodle.
Got a motion for an option one, and a second.
Second.
A second. Sarah,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Nate,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
Do you have opinions on where you want that to come from?
Wherever you said you were gonna find it, you just work your magic, you said, I'll find it.
Well, I
That's what
thought
you
you were talking about the tractor, but I thought that we had.
No, he said, he's got $17,000, and if you don't wanna take it from that other fund, I'll find it somewhere, so just find it.
So we talked about the mower from roads, we talked about the snow blower from streets, or.
Yeah, well, I just didn't know if, it kind of, nobody really said much. so I
If we're
just
gonna
wanted to-
take some out of loss, we'll take some out of loss.
Okay.
That's set aside for the police department or fire department, we'll take it out there.
If you wanna just write a check, we'll take that too.
Sounds good.
the tree in the backyard.
So dig up a few
Doug's
cans.
tree. We'll use that.
Public hearing for fiscal year 21 budget amendment number 2.
Wait, move your laptop back.
Need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
A motion to go into.
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing, we're in for this. Anybody got any questions?
We've discussed this a couple times before. The main reason for the second amendment is because of derecho and all the repairs and stuff that had to be done. There's a few other things that we adjusted that we were running short on, but mainly it was for all the expenses we had through derecho.
We got any other questions? Motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Motion to have second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 09-2021, approving fiscal year 21 budget amendment number 2.
Motion to approve amendment number 2.
A motion to have a second.
Second?
John,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Nate,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye. You're having trouble with us down here. What's the deal?
Much better down there. Resolution 12-2021, approving clerk to seek tuition scholarship for MEI training.
I make a motion to approve her to seek the scholarship, but I would also like it to be noted that whether or not she gets the scholarship, I do believe that she should be going on this trip regardless.
I agree with that.
A A motion and a second.
I second.
I thought you disagreed.
John and I both second that.
Sarah.
Sarah. Aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
He's gonna screw my name up.
Nate.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
All right, correspondence.
One thing I have is, received 3, letters, I guess, or notes from citizens about, the good work the Public Works has done with the snow this winter. And that's all I have for that.
Where'd you receive that from?
3 residents.
Nice.
That's awesome.
All right. City engineer report.
Good evening, good to see everybody again.
Yeah, first forever.
Thought this would be a little easier to discuss.
Yeah.
By handing these out, talking through, and being able to ask questions. I've been asked to put together some numbers on the area out by the interchange, joint utilities out.
Travis,
Oh,
right up your
Travis,
alley.
too, really.
Oh, boy.
Holy crap.
So,
Is he not excited after he looked at the numbers?
just a real quick overview on the area that's in blue on the future land use map is generally what we're looking at. Most of that property around the interchange is still under the ownership of the DOT, according to the records on the county site. I think there's a first right of refusal from the property owners they bought it from. I didn't go into a lot of research on it, but that seems to be the status of that property. In order to annex, we would have to have something contiguous with the existing city limits, which means we want to go back towards the cemetery area or up towards Highway 30, Business 30, and then back into town. So there's some drawings that are towards the back here. The first one is an overview, and the second one is a little bit larger so you can read the names of the property owners. We threw together some routes for water and sewer. The sewer, if you look at that area and figure about 150 acres of that developable, DNR usually likes to use 5,000 gallons per acre as a rough estimate in order to size sewer facilities. That gets us about 500 gallons a minute. If we look at pump stations that we put in the past for sanitary sewer, that's about a $750,000 lift station by the time you figure the generator, the electric service to get there the driveway, put in the pumps and controls and whatnot. So that's where that number comes from. And then we have a force main. And at 500 gallons a minute, if you look at most of the sanitary sewers in town, they're 8-inch. Those will handle about 340 gallons a minute capacity. So we can't dump into the existing system. We have to run it all the way back to the wastewater plant, which is why that cost is higher. We also have a pretty good number on there to live the water main, 8-inch water main. So when you throw all those costs together, that's where we come up with that $3 million figure. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, but it's just kind of a rough overview of what it would take to get out there. And again, we have the issue where the DOT still has ownership of the majority of the property around that area. So it would have to be voluntary annexation, meaning at least 80% of the land area would want to come in and petition to come in. If we don't have that, it's involuntary, that's very difficult to get through. And we would have to go to the city development board in petition to try to get that done. Not likely that it would happen. So that's just a rough summary of the annexation of that particular area and the cost associated with it. Where this is somewhat pressing is that we have a couple of sites identified on the drawing that if we were to go out that way, it would make sense to look at putting well number 5 somewhere on that general area. And I've got a couple of sites identified that we looked at there. If we're not going out that direction, we go back to the soccer fields and continue with the well site there. So I was hoping that you'd get some feedback and again, just available to answer any questions you might have on this.
If we put a well there, would that change anything?
No, it doesn't change much, and the reason for that is the well's going to produce about 300 gallons per minute. We need to be able to have fire protection for whatever we put out there. And if we put commercial out in that area, generally looking at 2,000 to 2,500 gallons per minute for a fire grant. So we would need to have the water main looped out there regardless in order to be able to get that. And likely, with the 8-inch main looped, we're going to be pushing whether or not we can get that. We might have to go with a larger main, and then you start getting into some water quality issues because most of the time that main's just sitting there without much water moving. So there's some challenges with it, but, you know, those sort of things we could take a look at, try to do some things with design to address.
Any other questions for Dave?
We have been talking with the CDBG grant folks to try to get moving on the water main plug things in town. They've indicated we need to do a new rate survey, income survey, so that is something that I think you guys have been trying to get lined up so we can get moving on it. We won't make the next deadline, it'll be at least 4 months out before we get that application in. But if you have a decision on this tonight as far as the well, whether it's out in that interchange area or back up by the soccer field, I could get that application in DNR for review and get that well permit going.
That's probably a pretty, if we could get that figured out tonight, YTT is planning to start that phase 1, and that would need to correlate with, so we're not ripping up new concrete or asphalt to put in the new well.
I mean, I personally, you know, we put a well out there, we'd have to buy the land. We're gonna own the land over here at the soccer fields, and you see what this cost is, just to run the underground stuff. Unless Brandon can find $3 million somewhere.
Can't find that one.
John, was the other well, where was the well at the soccer field's gonna be?
It's gonna be over in the Mac Mill property.
Right above the flower,
If you
southwest
look,
corner.
you see up there in the northwest corner of your first map drawing,
Go southwest.
Oh, yeah.
you'll see it purple shaded with the blue dot up by the butterfly.
Oh, northwest of that, northeast. Isn't that where the barns are? No,
Barns would be up along the road. Well, they're kind of all over, but they'd be up more towards the south of that location.
Okay.
The barns would be like right here.
Barns are out.
Like right here.
That well would be probably where the, if you go past Myers Meadow and it ends, it'd be probably 100 yards roughly.
Straight west. of
North,
that.
and then straight west.
Straight west.
Yep.
Okay. Not a water tower, just a well.
Just a well.
Yeah.
But you'll see that shaded green there. That's the part of the phase 1, so you can see how that would impact the road that's going in there. They're extending Jefferson Street out north.
Keep in mind that with the well, we have to have a place where we can inject the chlorine into the water before we put it into the system, so there's a small building that goes with that.
Do we have a consensus on where we want the well?
The Mac Mill property.
John, what do you say?
I'm looking here, it says site 3 and 4, where are sites 1 and 2?
Site 1 is the
Mac Mill
Macro
property.
property, site 2.
John doesn't have this, can you take
Okay,
this?
yeah.
I got it.
No,
There's a.
No, this
is
different.
Site 2 is up in the industrial park,
site 2 is property we don't own.
right, up here in the industrial park.
North 3 or 4,
Site 3 and 4 were over here.
but we do want to.
No,
Say
we
where,
don't want.
wherever you think it's best, I'm not an engineer.
I think that makes most sense
Field,
right now.
so.
If we're not looking at the annexation anytime soon, those go away, and this one seems to make the most sense, but I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure everybody was in agreement. with
At
that.
$3 million, I'd have to see more numbers to see if that's
Well,
feasible
but
to do.
the $3 million, what I heard, maybe I misheard, we can't even really do it because we don't own the property. We would have to have voluntary, 80% would have to volunteer to
Yeah.
come in, right?
Yep.
So we're jumping a lot of hurdles minus the $3 million.
That's correct.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that have to fall in place, and the property owner has to approach the city.
And I mean, even if we did, let's say they did, we got 80% and that all got annexed in, there's a possibility we'd have to have a new well out there anyway, would there?
Certainly.
So, I mean, you're looking at drilling a new well there too, also.
If they have a pretty large demand out there, that's going to tax what we have available. We're going to replace what we have in need for current capacity by putting in as well. We have hoped to do that with the well out by the railroad, but that fell through with them terminating the lease. So we're already behind. If we have well 4 go out, we're in trouble. One here at the fire station won't keep up with our peak day demand.
And there's probably something with the fire department, we have to have someone pressure, don't we?
No, the ISO rating, it's, we would be fine here in town.
As long as we keep water in the tower, we're doing pretty good.
Okay.
It's a low rate, it's more of a long period of time.
So,
And it's 250 gallons a minute for 12 minutes.
so I got one person that said Mac Mills, and everybody else. John, you got any, what do you say?
I go by whatever the recommendation of the engineer says.
Travis?
Whatever. Mills makes more sense to me.
I mean, I don't think we can't vote on it tonight, but if we.
I think today, the McNeil sounds like the best place.
I'll have to submit that. They'll come out to do a site review. If they find anything that can prevent us from being able to do that, then we'll put it on the other sites. But I think this is what we're looking for, just direction.
But he could at least start that.
The only thing I don't like is you're putting a well in the middle of a nature area. So it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do it there, but that's fine.
I mean, it does suck that it has to be there, but we also would have to purchase other land that we can't do.
All right. Anything else, Dave? Oh, I get some. So, the DOT is gonna pave out there, out past the city limits, right, sometime?
Lynn County.
Yeah, Lynn County. Have we talked about when they might do that to join up with them so we could pave our part?
They've already let their project. We were notified. They sent us the plans and we've already let that. We are working currently on putting together a project so that we can see if while that contractor is lined up to do the work, we would let it. They might possibly give us a pretty good deal since they're already in town. So we're working to get those plans. Tomorrow we'll have some people in town marking out the patch areas. And then we'll get the plans put together and bring it to council, try to get that out to bid here shortly. Once the asphalt plant's open in late April or May, we should have it ready to go. And hopefully it's all right in line with what they want to do out here.
You're not spending any money. You have no authority to spend money. Thank you.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
What are you spending?
All right. Public Works Director.
We're good, Dave gave the update.
That's all you got, too?
How'd you enjoy your weekend off?
Travis?
Just peachy.
Kind of got a weekend off.
Yeah.
Park and Rec Director.
We are finishing, registrations are done on Friday, and we will be starting spring soccer on the 22nd of March. I appreciate you guys, the whole tractor thing tonight, and approving that. That's gonna be used for a lot of different things. I'll be able to help out the maintenance guys a little bit, and then I won't have to borrow a tractor from the school anymore, so I'll have something that's city-owned to use for our baseball diamonds. So it's gonna be awesome.
All right. Police Department reports, council packet, fire chief report,
I have nothing with fire chief, but I have a whole bunch for
city administrator report.
administrator. So I've been working with FEMA nearly daily here the last couple of weeks to finish up the claim. Still working through some issues with paperwork and such, but hopefully we get that shored up here at the end of the week or first of next week. Also working with the insurance company, reference duratio. bids, et cetera. Main focus right now is out on Bunning Field, getting a bid to get the dugout ready to go for the season. So that's my first and foremost top priority. We're also working with Bray Electrical in reference to the lights. We went out and when I saw the lights, when I took the guy around to look at the dugout, some of them are facing Highway 30, they got spun around. So we did a test on all the lights and nearly 20 of them are out between the 4 diamonds. So we're getting a bid for that. Again, the plan is to hopefully 3 to 4 days of work over there, get the blessing from the insurance, and I should have further updates as we go in a couple weeks. But again, that's all planned to be ready to go by first game. Concession stand on Bunning Field. We're going to make sure that that's structurally sound and ready to go for the season. The awning may not be back up there at that time, but we'll deal with that. And then we're also trying to get the fence, the vehicle protected fence, the 10-foot that ran from the entrance gate all the way to the concession stand, so the cars don't get hit with foul balls. So we're going to try to get that up as well before the season, but we're relying on the fencing companies to do that. So I'll update that later too. Bit of good news, it sounds like, don't quote this, but it sounds like the chipper is going to be covered for insurance purposes. So we've been working with that. There's only $20,000 worth of coverage, but it's better than nothing. So we're probably, I would say at the next meeting, we'll see if we have more information on that, but then we'll probably want to get a decision for what we want to do. Obviously, it's going to come that season where we're going to need that, so we're going to need to figure that out. I've been working with Lisbon Historic Preservation Commission, reference life safety issues on the History Center and Library. It sounds like we have about 7 to 8 contractors that are willing to take on that work. So we're going to be working on getting some bids for that. Also, pleased to announce that the Myers Farmstead is now officially on the Historic District. So that was approved. We got the letter today. I had a meeting with Mechanicsville Phone Company in reference to their services. Pleased to let you guys know that we're going to move ahead with that. That's $400 to $500 a month in savings. So, and that would include all of the sites that Travis wanted fiber ran to. So we're getting more for less. Doesn't happen often. We had a meeting, Travis, Drayton, and I, with Rod Kelly and Eric Reese over at the school, referenced the takeover for the summer. I thought the meeting was very productive, and I think we got a lot accomplished. I think we met for almost 2 hours. So seemed to go good, and seems like it's going to be a pretty positive working relationship. So, City Public Works applicants. The plan is to, I reached out to Stephanie and John about the process of how they wanted to handle those. We are going to interview, well, we had 5 applicants that we were going to interview. One has taken a job with another city, so we're down to 4. And the plan is to meet with them on Wednesday night. And then we're going to meet with personnel after that to conduct second interviews or get a plan with personnel from there. We had the first meeting with the comprehensive committee over the comprehensive plan. It was earlier this week, and they made some assignments to gather some information, so we're going to be getting that together, and we'll have another one here towards the end of March.
Is there any way we can plan those at night instead of in the middle of the
I
afternoon?
believe the next one
The
is
next
gonna
one
be
is
at
gonna be at
night.
night.
Yes.
Yep.
I was gonna mention
That was
the same
one.
thing, because that 1 o'clock stuff was perfect.
I think that's it. Any questions in reference to any of that? I know it was a lot.
Anybody?
Nope.
John's report, sir.
I don't really have anything.
Steph?
I have 2 things. One was with Brandon on some of the applications. We have discussed this multiple times, and so I'm just looking for, let's move on. Some of the applicants, there were a couple applicants that were, I would say highly qualified. But when they reached out to them, to talk, to see if they wanted to schedule an interview, of course, they wanted to know the range that we were paying, and as soon as they knew the range, they were out. They couldn't do it for that amount. And I know that we've had multiple discussions on this council about trying to get our employees up to par with where they should be for other cities our size based on their jobs. And we always talk about it, but then we never do anything on the backside with it. We never have any formal discussions about it. So I just want to, put that out there again that, we're missing out on potentially great employees because we're not where we need to be. The other thing is, a couple of you have reached out to me about Brandon's progress with his job and with Connie, and I did talk to Connie. She said that he is doing great. She came in January and February on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and worked with him for about 4 hours a day on those days. And then now, it's basically just for him and Christina both on a need kind of basis. If they have a question, they call her. Brandon, if it's not a time-sensitive issue, he's just making a list of maybe things that he would need help with or have a question on, and then they'll meet once every couple of weeks or something to kind of go over all those questions instead of her having set hours that she's coming in and that the city's paying her to be in here. She will be doing that until April like we had planned, and then after that, she'll be done. There may be something down the road that she may have to pop in for a minute or two. I think the example she gave me was when we get our yearly insurance bill from the insurance company, that has to be broken out and paid in a different way or whatever, so she's gonna come in and show them how to process all that and everything. But that will just be her coming in and doing that, so it won't be anything that the city needs to worry about. But otherwise, she said Brandon's catching on very quickly. Budget is through and submitted, so that's, part was the big thing that we wanted to get through, and that's done. So that's my update for that.
All right, thanks for that.
Nate?
I don't have anything to report. Thank you, Connie, for working with Brandon and your blessing on him. That's it.
Travis?
Question, with the public works position that's open, do we differentiate between levels, or are you just a public works worker?
There's 1, 2, and then there's the lead operator.
Okay.
So, and there was a couple that I had Christina reach out to that were extremely qualified, and we gave them the top range part for that lead operator. And then we're not interested whatsoever.
And
Alright.
they're making $30-some an hour, so that's
Yeah.
what Travis makes,
But when we post this, are we posting it as just a worker, or level 1, level 2?
We don't put a salary down there. It's based on qualifications.
He's asking, do we put in there that we're looking for a
For a
level 1,
level
level
one
2
person.
lead worker? Do we put anything specific in the ad?
By experience and
Yeah.
and certifications, and then you determine what level they're at based on
Okay.
that. And that all comes back when we meet with personnel to decide what they think is fair. And
What do we need? Do we need a lead? Do we need a level 2? Truth be
Great
told.
to have a lead, but
one thing, before
What do
you
we
talk,
have now?
I
we
think-
had a lead, but he left because he went to work for another company that paid him $15 more an hour than what we were giving him.
Well, that's understandable, I understand that.
We couldn't even
Do
come
we-
close.
So then would the guys that are currently here be able to move up into that, or no?
I would like to see somebody get a job that Travis feels comfortable with when he leaves town, that he can actually enjoy a vacation, enjoy a weekend, and be his assistant to handle matters within reason.
And are you developing that person now?
We're working on it, but I'm
Okay.
virtually starting over again.
Right?
So the person I was training just resigned
Uh-huh.
to do water and wastewater, so now I have an old employee that didn't work that much over there that I'm training, and a new employee, and eventually we'll have another new employee. So
Do any of the employees besides you right now have any type of water certification?
One has their grade ones.
And that's the one that you're currently trying to kind of get out there?
Yep.
Okay. I was just curious how that worked. I mean, we do that too. We have different levels of people that we need, and that's what we hire, is that level person. So,
I think that when we hire the new person and even Jake, we should be encouraging them within the first year to have their certification, their water certification. We should be, just like what Christina's teaching and the class that she wants to go to, whether she gets a scholarship or not.
Put
We
it
I
on.
thought
should be
that,
encouraging
but John
these
Poston
people.
does say that
are we
within
on
a
track to
year.
have that?
We are, but COVID.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I can't
yeah, I
send
get
them
it,
to
I
the-
get that, but I,
I think that's the goal, but we just
Right.
pulled it from that because we weren't sure that we could make
Sure.
it happen.
right,
But like the last employee, he didn't have his certification, right?
Right,
And he had been here for how long?
right, but his expertise was better utilized elsewhere. That's why I was training another employee on that direction.
But Chris did go to school, all
He
he had
went
to
to
do was
school,
test.
yeah.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the one that was going out there and working. Did he have a certification?
No, no,
Right.
no.
But I
He,
think he tested.
he took
He
his
just
class.
tested.
It's just, we haven't been able to test,
was cool.
so.
But I don't think he even tested when we could before COVID.
So I don't think he.
I mean, I think we just need to be pushing that more.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to say was that I know you guys like this site at the Macamills for the well, but I think we take away from it being nature area when you put a building out there like that. So I just want you guys to think about that before you do it. We really pushed that this was gonna be a nature area and part of the Parks and Rec, and I think the last thing we wanna do is dirty it up with, not a metal building, but a building out there. So it'd be-
How big is the building?
The building doesn't have to be 300% the well, we can move that off quite a ways, several hundred feet if we need to. And the
What
well,
was that again? I didn't hear.
the building can be moved several hundred feet away from the well, we just need to inject the chlorine before it goes in the system. So if we run a water main down somewhere near Myers Meadow and put a building down there closer to the street, we could do something like that. We just need to make sure that we inject the chlorine before it gets into the water system, or the rest of the system is. The other thing that we could do with the well head, it's only about a 3-foot high, maybe 18-inch diameter item, and we put false rocks or something like that around, some landscaping, something to disguise it so it's not so obvious.
All right,
So if the site's viable, I'll come back with some options.
all right.
We can.
That's what I would like. I mean, we want to keep it looking nature, and that's the whole goal, was to have nature area, and we don't want to dirty it up, but
Sure.
that's all I have to say. I'm good.
John,
I just got a text that the CDC says people with their COVID shots can congregate without masks, which is good news, because I've had my shots. So the next meeting, I'll probably sit back.
But we have it, so stay down, no.
I heard some talk amongst the boards of the library and Southeast Lynn of when they might be unlocking their front doors, so that sounds promising. I don't know what their decision is. The library's meeting tonight, and the Southeast Lynn will be meeting next week. So we'll see. So it's all progress. That's all I have. Oh, and of all the office staff, I know you're all in new positions and a steep learning curve, and congratulations on taking on the task and doing well. Thank you.
Hey Doug, real quick, I did meet with Amy down at the library reference opening. So the plan is to do a grab and go. So they're gonna open to come in, check out, and leave. So that is what's going before the library board tonight. So apologize, that's one thing I forgot about.
You might check too, Christina, maybe you already know. Marcia's 6 month has got to be coming up.
Yep, he's
Yep.
planning to do that this week or next.
Okay,
It'll
so
be on the
you'll
next
want to
meeting.
put, on the next council meeting, you want to put that closed session at the end like we did for Christina.
And I don't really have anything.
Come on,
I really don't.
You haven't figured out what you're spending your money on yet?
all your money.
Money that you're not spending on the road.
Oh, I know I want something.
What?
Plans.
Oh, listen
All
to
right,
him.
meeting adjourned.
Thank you.